How's everybody doing today? Oh, thank you. That's awesome introductions. I'm honored to be here to share my story. I hope you can learn a lot of things in my journey. I hope when you guys leave today that I'm able to give you some positive energy to do the things that you do when you leave your school. I love your title, Mind the Gap. That kind of fits me well. But my theme today is deaf and blind and vision and how I became a three-time world champion. But also, I was able to be a multi-sport athlete and being the best in every sport that I encountered. But I'd like to share with you there are 5 important things that I had to do to be successful. And here they are. Number 1 is your health. So important nowadays to have your health, that we eat well, we exercise, we keep busy. But one thing that's important in your health that I had to learn later in life is flexibility and stretching. We all don't do enough of that. As an athlete, I would get injured at a younger age. But I realized when I was stretching flexibility, it made all the difference. And I think you guys got to remember that. Number 2, positive thinking is my motto. Being positive in everything you do in life will work for you in every way. I always say, every time somebody gives you a negative, give them back a positive, and the karma will work in your favor. Number 3, giving. What a powerful tool. How can we give? Well, I gave 15 to 20 years to help 29 children here in Mexico. That's made me a stronger person. Yes, I have a disability, but it's made me even stronger. I realize how lucky we are as Canadians. And helping those 29 children here again, it lifts my spirit. Number 4, adaptability. Holy Hannah. We all have to learn how to adapt in everything we do. Your homework, your schooling, your parents, your job, your finances. If you can find a tool to adapt, even to this day, coming into present, I had to make some adaptive change at last minute, but that's part of life. If we can find those tools, life is going to be easy. And best of all, number 5, always have dreams. When we have dreams, some are going to happen and some aren't. But I always say, every day is a great day, because it is, guys. You never know when it can be your last. You never know when you're going to have a health crisis. You never know when your driver's license can be taken away. You never know when your finances go from here to here. You never know when your best friend can turn on you. You never know when your relationship can fall apart. I've encountered all of those. And this is how my journey started. At 11 years old, my math teacher approached me and said, Kevin, I realize when I'm standing behind you, you don't kind of communicate. But when I'm in front of you, you kind of do a little better. I said, I think you should go get your hearing checked. I went to an audiologist, and he said, Kevin, what have you been doing for the last 11 years? I said, being a kid, having fun. I said, well, we've done some tests, and you only can hear 25%. And I said, so? But he put 2 and 2 together, and he realized I taught myself how to lip read. I thought that's the way we all lived. I didn't know any difference. So he got me a hearing aid. I let my hair grow long because I didn't want people to stare at me. And I used to get teased and bullied. There's that deaf guy. Let's go make fun of him. That was my reality when I was going in school. But I always kept positive. But at a young age, I didn't realize I was giving. At 9 years old, 10 years old, I used to be a paper boy. And I would run home, deliver all these papers. All the money I make from the papers, I would come back and buy lunches for kids. I just did that on a natural ability. And I learned that from my parents. So it was kind of a good start. I also did refereeing for hockey. Hockey, I had a dream to be an NHL linesman when I was 18 when I finished high school. But on the way, I ran into another hurdle. I had a speech impediment. I couldn't speak too well. So I had a speech therapist who stood by me for 6 years, and she taught me how to speak without hearing words. I don't hear the S's and the T's and the D's and the K's and all that. You guys do. But that's how I had to adapt. With the help of the great school system, I continued into high schools. You know what? Lip reading is a lot of fun for me because it's kind of interesting when I get my guy friends and girlfriends, hey, Kev, can you come out with me? I want to know what that guy talking about. I want to know what that girl talking about. So I had like a little bit of a talent, but I took a negative experience and made it a positive experience. So lip reading became a talent for me. And as I was going to high school, I was refereeing hockey, still delivering papers. And then around 18 years old, I graduated high school. I got invited to the NHL camp. What a great start. I worked all those hard years to referee. I went to the NHL camp, and the refereeing chief said, Kevin, you really handle yourself well under pressure. You know your rules, you interact well. But he said, for you to get to the next level, you're only 150 pounds, and you're going to have to put on 50 pounds. So needless to say, at that time, it wasn't reality. One thing I'd like to share with you, when I referee, if you guys play hockey, I had a high tolerance because I wouldn't wear my hearing aid when I was refereeing. So all the hockey players would get upset with me, and I would never hear them. So so it's a great referee to have. But needless to say, I guess referees are blind, and I'm blind. So as I took a year off school, I went and worked for a distribution center, realized I can't be an NHL linesman. I wanted to be a millionaire before age 30. You know what? I work at my distribution center because my parents said, Kevin, you're making a lot of money. You're making more than us. So I continued to stay there. I refereed hockey on the side. I had a landscaping company. So I became a workaholic. I used to eat 80 hours, 100 hours a week I used to work. I enjoyed it because I had a passion. On the way, I raised three beautiful children, Madison, Montana, and Mitchell. At around age 25, my night vision got worse. And I used to live in Emblem, and I used to drive down that yellow line to get home. But for me to get home when it's a snowy day, a rainy day, I had to pull over and wait for a truck to go by because I used to follow those 8 lights on the back. And I thought, oh, my vision getting a little worse, but night vision is the way it is. One day, I don't know how I got home. I'm going to say thank you for the guy upstairs overwatching me, because that was a scary moment. It used to usually only take me 30 minutes to go home, and it took me an hour and 30. So God bless for him for thinking of me. So as I was growing a little bit older, raising my kids, reached age 30, I went into a bar one day, and I knocked over 5 beer bottles, and the guy come up and say, what are you doing? What's your problem? You don't have a cane? You don't have a service guide dog? Why'd you knock over the bottles? I said, well, sorry, I didn't see it. So I went to my ophthalmologist, and he did some tests, and he said, Kevin, he said, I have a question. What do you do for a living? So I told him I worked with the distribution center, refereed hockey and landscaping. And the eye doctor, ophthalmologist, said, Kevin, this is hard for me to do, but I have to take your license away. I have to tell you to stop working where you are, stop refereeing, and stop your landscaping company. I said to my doctor, you can't do that. That was the darkest spot that I have ever encountered. It's not a nice feeling. So my eye doctor said, Kevin, I think you should go see CNIB. They might be able to help you. I said, what's CNIB going to do to me? I just lost everything. I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage. I don't know how I'm going to take my kids to school when they want to go to college. So little by little, I went to CNIB, and I spoke to a lady, Helena, and she said, Kevin, just want to let you know, you have a condition called Usher Syndrome where you lose your hearing young and your vision later, and you might lose it all. You might be totally deaf, totally blind. So I got a huge road ahead of me. So with the help of CNIB, I get intervener services, and what that means is they come and do errands, and we do groceries, so that's my freedom. A year later, I was walking down the street, and I bumped into a service guide dog with my cane. I usually use my white cane to a blind guy bumping into a blind guy. Well, that's pretty common. We always do that. So needless to say, Ian said, why don't you get a service guide dog? I said, what's a dog going to do for me? You know, like, holy Hannah, like, I'm just trying to get by, accept what I have. A year later, I went to a Canadian guide dog school in Manitic. Wasn't sure what to expect. But 18 years later, each dog cost $50,000 to train. Both dogs, my first one, Nemo, in St. Louis, have saved my life 8 times. I wouldn't be here today speaking to you guys. So with the help of, I always have to have assistance everywhere I go, and communication. Like, of course, I can't see you guys, but with your mask on, I can't lip read. That's my reality. But what's really interesting I'd like to talk about is how our society respects blind people. There are people who are totally blind, there are people who are legally blind, and there are people who have vision issues. I'm legally blind with less than 5%. If I didn't bring Nemo or had my walking stick, which I don't have today, you wouldn't know. So it's really important that when you perceive things in life, don't overestimate. You've only seen me for 20 seconds, but I have a service guide, but in public. Anybody had a disability, don't jump to conclusion. You don't know what they're going through. So with the help of Nemo, we travel everywhere. I've been declined in restaurants. I've been declined in hotels. I've been declined once on the plane. But you know what? I never complain. I take a negative and put it into a positive. I work with the restaurants. I work with the airplane. I work with the businesses to educate them, because anybody that refuses a service guide dog in any business, it's a $5,000 fine and a $10,000 for the owner. So it can add up pretty fast. But I'm an advocacy to educate the public about it. They just had an incident last week in Hamilton. Service guide dog got kicked out of a restaurant. You'd think they'd be up to par, but they're not. But that's what I face day in and day out. But I still choose to go forward. The mountain's always high. I fall down, I get back up. I fall down, I get back up. I keep on going. But I do it with 3 senses. Most of you have 5 senses. You wake up every day, and that's why I say it's a great day. So after I had Nemo and Lewis, I'll transfer my energy into my sporting journey. So I started doing short track speed skating. Why would a deaf blind guy try short track speed skating? Because I refereed for 20 years. I wanted to be back on the blades. So a nice gentleman gave his time. Mike, I'll be interested to take you on. So I got involved in speed skating, the 110-meter track. You're going around, I don't hear or see the skaters, but I still manage to get around. So I communicate on my FM system to my coach while I'm skating, but I can't hear the skaters or see them until they're in front of my tunnel vision. So in 2007, I entered the first Masters Canadian Championship. I was the only disabled person competing in that event, and I won that event. It was a huge accomplishment. It was a humbling experience, but it's a very dangerous sport because I'm traveling at 40 kilometers an hour. So I switched my energy over to long track because I want to get more blind people involved in speed skating. So I went to long track. I said I want to compete against able-bodied around the world to get my story out, to get more blind people involved. So we started skating, and I went 24th in the world, 18th in the world, 16th in the world, 12th in the world. My last championship, I was 8th in the world. That's enough accomplishment for me against able-bodied. All the elite skaters were so supportive that they realized the difficulty. When I'm on a long track, I don't hear the bell. I only feel the gun, and my coach communicates with me to get around. Trust me, I had my fair shares of falls. I had my fair shares of DQs, but you still got to pick up. When I was speed skating, I also did rowing for Para-Canada for 5 years, and I made the standard for rowing. Then I switched my energy while I was speed skating to track and field. That's where I learned about stretching and flexibility. It's the highest injury sport, but I made the Canadian standard in blind track. Great experience. I realized I got to transfer to something else. So I went into tandem cycling. It was tandem cycling, the long bike. I sit on the back, I have a pilot in the front. And I made the Canadian standard, won silver at Canadian on track. I won silver at the road race in Montreal. It's a great experience. We do a 100K race, and we do it in maybe under 3 hours. My top speed on a tandem is 95 kilometers an hour down Pink Hill in Gatineau. My top speed on a flat road is 62 kilometers an hour. It's such a rush to have to go that fast. Now, I've transferred my energy into blind golfing. How can a blind guy golf? So really interesting. I always have to have a guide at everything I do. So I have a guide who watches the ball go wherever I hit the ball. I go to the next stop, and they tell me, oh, there's trees in the way. We get to the green. They tell me, they read the green for me. I had a unique experience maybe a month ago with Emily, and her mom come to watch us hit the first hole. So Emily's an awesome golfer. So she hits the ball, and she's 10 feet away. Like, that's amazing to be that close to the pin. So I said to Emily, I said, where's the ball go? She goes, about 10 feet away. I go, let's see what I can do. So I went the way up. I was 3 feet away. What an amazing experience. I never get to see the ball, but I was 3 feet away. It was a very humbling experience. So you just never know who you're going to be coming up against. But I always will have hurdles day in and day out. Next time I see you, I might lose all my vision. I might be losing all my hearing. But I always give my time. I'd like to share one more quick story. I was approached by a parent in Orleans, and she said, I was wondering if you could help my daughter. Her name is Lisa. I need to raise some funds because my daughter needs a special operation in the States because the Canadian government will cover it. So long story short, I got involved to help her out. How much you need to raise? And she says, 12,000 US. I go, okay. And we got together. We raised $5,000 at a community event. We're still short. So I connected my news people. I went to Lisa's house at 1 o'clock. They did an air piece at 5 p.m. I was presenting a check at 1 p.m. for Lisa with the Lion Club. When that show went on the air, I could see Lisa's mom jumping up and down. She said, Kevin, you won't believe it. That news clip, 4 anonymous people stepped up. And now Lisa is all taken to a normal life. So it just shows you, I'm just a little guy. And you just never give up when you want to accomplish something. Always remember to give when you can. So, back to the basics: health, positive energy, giving, adaptability, and every day is a great day. Just remember, somebody else is worse off than you are. And when you can help people go through tough times, we're all champions. So I'm going to close off with a presentation with Lewis. I always like to have fun with him. But I'm going to share you one little story. So me and Lewis went into Walmart one day, and we were walking around, and the manager comes running up, and he says, can I help you? I realized I can't see that well. I said, no, don't worry about it. I'm fine. So the manager walks off, and me and Lewis walked up. So I picked up Lewis, and I spun him around. The manager comes running back, and he says, what are you doing? I said, I'm just looking around. So needless to say, we got to have humor in life. And I remember there's a guy in Florida. He had a service guide dog. He went into a drugstore, and his wife went to pick up some water at the back. He's holding his bowl at the front entrance, and his wife comes back and says, you're not going to believe this. You're holding your bowl there for me to get water. Somebody put $20 bill in there. What I have shared with you, and apply the principles on just those principles that I talk about on positive energy and just giving and reaching out to help people going through tough times. And just remember, I accomplished all this with 3 senses. And I hope you guys can take some of the messages that I have and just pass it on to others. And just never give up, guys. I've been through quite a bit. But one thing, every day is a great day, and you'll always see me smiling. And God bless you all. Back. Hey, Lewis, we're in the dark here. Where are we going? Oh, I got another Lewis here. All right, that's awesome. I need all the help I can get. Take care, guys. Have a great day.